The Dominican dembow artist Rochy RD, whose real name is Aderly Ramirez Oviedo, was arrested for allegedly sexual assault to an underage girl and child sex trafficking. He would target underage girls from low-income areas from Santo Domingo. Some of them were brought to him by one of his quote-unquote official girlfriends, Stacy Peña, better known as La Demente, who's also accused of child sex trafficking. And I know everybody is innocent until proven guilty, but we need to look at something very particular that's happening in this case. Rochy RD has received a lot of support from people who are part of the public opinion in the Dominican Republic, including from those who are not part of the dembow scene. But those who support him are not claiming his innocence. On the contrary, they're blaming the victims, saying that nowadays underage girls, especially those who come from low-income neighborhoods, are too promiscuous, too easy, and quote-unquote don't know how to behave. Rochy RD is being portrayed as a victim of girls who are trying to destroy him. Poor Rochy RD. The generalized opinion about his presumed victims is that they already had a lot of sexual experience and partied and drank a lot by the time they met Rochy RD. The victim's mother has received a lot of death threats and has had to move out of her home to an undisclosed location. In an interview, she mentioned that the Dominican police hasn't offered her any sort of protection and that she has family and friends who offer to accompany her wherever she goes to protect her. And Rochy RD relationships with underage girls has been something kind of known in the dembow scene. The Dominican dembow singer Kiko El Crazy insulted Rochy RD more than a year ago in an Instagram live for going out with children and quote-unquote abusing his power. When La Demente was being interviewed at the show focused on the dembow scene, Alofoque radio show, and one of the hosts tried to ask La Demente for her age, the question was avoided. And some interviews of Rochy RD have been deleted from different famous Dominican YouTube channels. Rochy RD is sitting in prison waiting for trial. This is not an isolated case. This is a consequence of how normalized is the sexualization of underage girls in the Dominican Republic. But why? Something that is the norm among very conservative, anti-progressive countries where religious institutions are powerful and an important part of the state apparatus is how this is normalized. And this is not a paradox at all. It is part of the patriarchy. Regardless of social class, origin, and skin color, something almost all Dominican women share growing up in the Dominican Republic is the street harassment and sexually charged comments coming from men, especially old men. According to a survey made by the Dominican National Statistics Office, 84.3% of Dominican women over 15 years of age have been victims of some type of violence on the streets. And I want to share something that happened to me. I was only 8 years old the first time it happened to me. I was at the beach with my family. I was sitting right in front of them, and I remember that out of nowhere, this man comes and made a very nasty comment about my body. And I was shocked. I didn't tell anything to my parents. It was so creepy and nasty that I felt dirty and confused. I was only 8 years old the first time I remember someone catcalling me. And We learn from a very young age just to ignore them because that's the way it is, and we all know if you stood up for yourself, you were risking escalating the situation. And do you want to know the most fucked up part of all of this? I noticed that the older I was getting, the catcalling became less frequent. According to reports made by the United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF, 61% of Dominican girls and teenagers have suffered sexual violence at any point during their lives. And these cases are often highly underreported, meaning that the number could be much, much higher. However, we need to keep in mind that even though this is an experience that unfortunately a lot of women in the Dominican Republic share, it is true that the most vulnerable group are poor girls. Something a lot of the people who are defending Rochy RD are saying is that those are not girls that come from good neighborhoods, they are girls that come from bad neighborhoods. So therefore, they are used to have sex from a very young age and are more street smart. They use the girl's socioeconomic status to do victim blaming. And it is not a coincidence that Rochy RD, like countless of predators, would seek underage girls from poor areas. UNICEF, together with other children protection organizations in the Dominican Republic, have condemned the attitude of some part of the Dominican society, including the media, regarding Rochy RD's case. Social inequality, lack of services because of state corruption, embezzlement and colonialism, very deficient education and sexism make those girls even more vulnerable. In the Caribbean, one of the most vulnerable groups are black women, which is also the case in the Dominican Republic. So the picture here is much bigger than what we think. Something that makes teenage girls in the Dominican Republic even more vulnerable is the lack of proper sex education, which also includes teaching about consent and gender equality. When it comes to the teaching of sex education in the Dominican Republic, I have to say, it has been an uphill battle because no matter how much there's a compromise, it is never enough for the Dominican Catholic Church and Christian Pentecostal churches. Every time sex education or something remotely related with it's mentioned in the Dominican Republic, religious figures start protesting. And it's insane because whatever we're doing in the Dominican Republic concerning sex education is not working. According to the Pan American Health Organization, the Dominican Republic has the highest rate of teenage pregnancies in Latin America and the Caribbean, and most of the fathers of those children born from teenage girls are adult men. On top of everything, the Dominican Republic is one of the few countries in the world with the strictest abortion laws, meaning that under no circumstance a woman can interrupt her pregnancy, not even under exceptional circumstances like her life is at risk, if the pregnancy was the result of rape, or if there are fetal malformations which makes the survival of the fetus impossible. In January of 2021, the Dominican President Luis Abinader signed a bill that banned child marriage in the country by prohibiting individuals under the age of 18 from getting married. Before the bill, child marriage was legal with the authorization of a judge or with the permission of the minor's parents. Even though this is a small step towards the right direction, the country still has one of the highest rates of early unions in the region, according to UNICEF, and these numbers are higher in low-income areas in the country, and it raises the risk of intergenerational poverty. This extreme level of vulnerability under which Dominican girls from low-income areas live under is not something that only Rochy RD and other Dominican men take advantage of. We also have a huge problem of tourist men who come to the country and prey on these girls. According to a United Nations agency, a lot of girls that are trafficked are mostly in touristic areas, and the local police authorities almost always know about this or are the ones trafficking the girls. There's no real political will to stop this, especially due to state corruption and colonialism, which destroy any possibility of positive change and progress in the Dominican Republic. These sexual predators travel to the Dominican Republic because they know or think that they can get away with it. Theodore Simons, a 51-year-old North American man, was sentenced to 17 years in prison in the United States after pleading guilty of traveling to the Dominican Republic to prey on underage girls. Simons confessed that if he had known that what he did in the Dominican Republic would subject him to punishment in the United States, he would have not returned. This is really, really upsetting, but what's the solution? Well, the girls' material conditions need to be improved, but in order to achieve it, we need to dismantle the injustice and inequality that there are in the Dominican Republic. This situation is not only a product of sexism and machismo culture, but also colonialism. The normalization of seeking underage girls by grown men relates to sexism and violence against women. The younger and more vulnerable they are, the easier they are to control and abuse. Sexism and machismo culture are violent. Bell Hooks explained that racism is not the only form of domination and oppression that affect black women. She explained that our survival as a people depends on creating a cultural climate in which black men can achieve manhood within paradigms constructed by white patriarchy. And I'm not mentioning white patriarchy to avoid responsibility or defend men like Rochy RD. On the contrary, I'm saying we must have these conversations and look for a solution in an anti-racist context to change the material conditions in a way that we can achieve decolonial justice, and there can't be decolonial justice with sexism. Decolonization without gender justice is a man-made colonial sham, according to Glenn Coulthard. Colonialism is not just a school of thought or something that happened a long time ago. It is a systemic reality that affects the lives of those who live in the quote-unquote low levels in this strict colonial heteropatriarchal hierarchy. How can Dominican girls be protected from the disgusting rat king that racism, sexism, capitalism, and colonialism is? The only way to protect them is to dismantle it. I always get emotionally invested in each episode, but this one was particularly emotionally taxing for me because of the topic, and I hope I did justice to the subject. I tried to be very respectful and do as much research as possible. And I want to mention something. Today I just finished recording the episode, May the 11th, and I just found out that La Demente, Stacy Peña, who's one of Rochy RD's official girlfriends, quote unquote, she is actually underage. Well, she just turned 18 last month in April, according to her lawyers. And do you guys remember that in the episode I mentioned how it was kind of known in the scene that Rochy RD was dating underage girls, and in this interview they tried to avoid questioning or mentioning her age. So yeah, it's confirmed she was underage. And you know what? I tried to be very careful and say allegedly and supposedly, but you know what? I don't care anymore. It's very, very fucked up and really, really incredibly fucked up. So yeah, I just wanted to add to that. It takes me a lot of time to do these episodes. I write a script, I do research. Research can take me days or hours depending on the subject. There's like a lot of episodes that I do on parallel, that I do research and just save research and information. And also I do a lot of free reading. So the process is very long. So yeah, I'm recording now. Here it's May the yeah, I just found out like right now. Just check the article. It's May here the 12th. I'm recording this in May the 12th. So yeah, I just found out that she it's underage, confirmed by her lawyer, um, because she's also detained um, as we speak. So yeah, I just wanted to make that note, and also I want to yeah just mention this before we continue. Um, well, not before we continue, but before I finish the episode. I mean, I wanted to add this information. So I was right. I was right. I was right. Unfortunately. I want to thank my patrons for believing in this project and supporting me. I always have exclusive content available for my patrons. And thank you so much. Please subscribe and share. All the important links are on this episode's description. And tell me what you think in the comment section, including any questions you might have. Do you want me to make more episodes about current events? Um, and thank you so much for listening. Thanks so much for watching. And see you next time. Bye.